Those of you who want to see me thoroughly flog and whip a dead horse, let us now go to Education Video 5, backwards in synchronous order. Education Video 5, and we're just going to beat the hell out of him. 30 seconds into it. Quote, "They don't need to learn those things that you think they need to learn." 30 seconds into his video. The general curriculum offered by people. He then asserts generally that people want to teach kids what they themselves know. He says chemists want to teach chemistry, the musicians think music's important, and then he admits that he himself used to have this idea that music ought to be more widely taught and stuff, because he's into music, that's what he teaches. Then he says he began to sort of see his error, and he realized that these are all just hobbies. All these things are hobbies, and he has a whole list. We'll get to them in just a second. These are hobbies that the kid doesn't need to know or learn, and then after that, down here a bit, he has a list of things he thinks the kid does need to know or learn. So we'll get to that. But here's a few things he thinks are hobbies that don't need to be taught to the child. We've got a list of 10 or 12. Now I'll start off within your Crow epistemology by giving you the 4 subjects taught at my school and Lisa Van Dam's. I don't have a school yet, but when it opens it will teach math, science, history, and literature. Now, inside literature you could put language and grammar skills, but that just falls inside of literature and doing essays and spelling and stuff. Math, science, history, and literature. Here are, now that's what I believe you could teach to a kid up till they're 14 or 15, and then off they go to college. That's my view. He says, quote, anatomy and geography. He mentions geography. He says you don't have to know where Italy is to go to the grocery store. You have to know where the grocery store is, but not Italy. And he says if you were going to go to Italy, you'd probably go on a plane, and therefore you wouldn't need to know where it was anyway. So it's just a waste of time. He says have a globe in the house. And this is the key to his idea of freedom in education. Sometimes the kid will get interested in something. This is around 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the video. Sometimes the kid will get interested in something. Great! Have a globe in the house and show him. Show him whatever he wants to know. End quote. Around 2 minutes and 30 seconds. He wants the kid to be free to inquire into education, but not be forced. He doesn't want you to educate him, except on certain things. We'll get to those. Here's some things he doesn't want you to touch. Anatomy, geography, chemistry. He says that's a waste of time. I agree, that's for college. You might teach a brief history of chemistry when the kid's 12 or 14, but you wouldn't get into chemistry itself except in college. Biology, I agree, mostly in college except some basics. Sociology, strike it from the curriculum and burn all the books, that's what I say. Geometry, calculus, trigonometry, and algebra, he says. He says, okay, he makes a little bit algebra, he'll take. That's acceptable in some cases, but geometry, calculus, and trigonometry are useless, he says. Throw them out. Math is my weakest subject, and I would never deprive a child of mathematics. It's one of the key subjects, and what if that child were a brilliant mathematician, as many will turn out to be? Now, there's the core curriculum, and different people come at it from different ways. Literature, for me, is the least valuable subject, and for Lisa Van Dam is the most valuable. History, for me, is the most valuable. So it's all emphasis on values, but within the core curriculum, it doesn't matter which part you emphasize as long as you give the kid the full curriculum. And he says we need to strike geometry, calculus, and trigonometry as a waste of time. He also adds music. I agree. Strike it. Let the kid play his flute at home. Physics, he says, is a waste of time. I agree. Wait until he's in college. And again, I say college starts at the age of 15. High school is out. Oh, Aaron. At 4 minutes and 40 seconds. This is out of synchronization. He mentions this quite a ways later. He mentions Roman mythology. Then we'll go back to the other ones. He says we don't need to mention Roman mythology. Useless. Kid doesn't need to learn it. Well, he doesn't speak as an authority on the subject, does he? We know that because Rome didn't really have a mythology to speak of. You can speak of Greek mythology. The Romans took Greek culture wholesale, including their mythology. And the Romans had large amounts of religions outside the Roman gods. But Roman mythology is not a subject. It's Greek mythology. So he doesn't speak from authority on that. Next, going back synchronously in this video, we're back at like 1 minute and 30, 1:45. He says, foreign language is something to be stricken from the curriculum. I agree, except possibly for Latin in the early years. Ben Franklin makes the case against Latin, so I'm not certain. I will have to take some experience in the classroom. I'll look into that. Statistics, he says, strike those. I agree, except if the kid wants to study math in college. Maybe if you really get a long ways and he's 14 years old and he needs to study something, he can study statistics before he goes to college. Get this one. He says astronomy is a waste of time. Now I'm going to spend a bit on this because, sir, it is not a waste of time. And he obviously doesn't know much or probably anything about it if he thinks it's a waste of time. Probably just what they taught him in the California educational school system. So he endorses this non-interventionism. He says, all these, don't try to teach him to the kid. Now, I'm going to get to the things he wants to teach the kid in just a minute here. Seems like we need to know all this stuff, he says, but we really don't. Here's the things we need to know, around 5 minutes and 28 seconds. But I want to intersperse for a moment on astronomy. Astronomy is useless, he says, at 4 minutes. And several other times. He's very upset about this. Doesn't care about anything not touching the surface of our planet. And a large number of things on the surface of our planet he doesn't give a damn about either, like Italy. Now, the reasons why astronomy is useful to learn, why it should be taught in grade school, is because it is part of a body of evidence that teaches the child how to reason for himself. Then he won't be so confused later in life like Aaron is. Now, a quick 4 points on the history of astronomy. You would do it for a curriculum like this. Ancient Babylon. Astronomy is taken seriously as messages from the gods, and large amounts of messages from the gods are written down. You know, where each star occurred, when what planet was where, and where was the moon on what day and what year. All these were recorded meticulously for centuries by the Babylonians as messages. They didn't know what the hell to do with them. And the Greeks found these records and applied math to them. And this is, for some people, they say this is the beginning of reason. This is where rationality was born, because Aristotle formulated his rules for logic out of the mathematics known at this time, by the way. People applied math to the astronomical record, and they began to say, wait a minute, these are objects. These are all acting in accordance with an exact nature. These are not gods. These are some sort of otherworldly spheres or something. But they're not demons or gods or beings. These are not beings. These are things. So for some people, this is the birth of reason. Other people give other reasons, like the broken, fragmented area of Greece gave rise to reason. The city-state gave rise to reason. The nexus between Europe and Asia gave rise to reason. The bloodline, because they came from the Aryans, gave rise to reason. Other things have been given for it, but this is one of them, the astronomical record. And this ought to be introduced to the child. It's important. And not in very strict detail. He can study it in detail in later life, but in enough detail that he knows a fact about history, a fact about how humans learned to use their minds. And it's on a pretty basic level, because people who lived in the agricultural, ancient, pre-industrial age were dealing with these questions, so we ought to be able to get a 10-year-old into them, hadn't we? After the Greeks and their brilliant application in astronomy, they actually knew that the sun was at the center of the solar system, the earth was going around it, and the earth was spinning. It's considered abstract knowledge that no one needed to really look into very carefully, but the Greeks knew it. It was forgotten, totally forgotten. It is believed by many people today that Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492 and discovered again that the world is round. People believed he would sail off the edge. He didn't sail off the edge, he went around it, because it's round. Well, they knew that 2,000 years earlier, 2,000 years